Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you can go.
My research is on CV 2026-23760. That is authentication bypass on smarter tools due to unpatched VM. Overview of the speech. CV 2026-23760 is a critical authentication bypass vulnerability having CVSS score of 9.3 that affect smarter mail versions prior to build 9511. The vulnerability resides in the password reset API and permits unauthenticated request to reset system administrator password without verification of existing credential or reset tokens. Uh, Exploitation results in administrative compromise of smarter mail instances and through built-in administrative features like volume mount provide a direct path to remote code executions at a system privilege level. Uh, then, as you can see, the CBSS score of the vulnerability is 9.3, that is considered to be critical. It affects confidentiality and the availability of the smarter mails assets. Its impact. Hello. Unauthenticated attackers can reset administrator password without any verification, leading to complete compromise of smarter mail server instances. The affected products are smarter mails version that is prior to build 9511. The patch was released on 15 January and the CV is published on 22 January. It was exploited by the Chinese ransomware group, that is Warlock ransomware. Uh, since the CV was released on 22 January, the attack occurs on 29 January. Because of a unpatched VM that is outside of the asset management of the organization, so they forgot to patch that VM. So this kind of attack occurs. Uh, the attackers are inside the smarter mail system network for weeks, but the smarter mails unable to detect it. Uh, when the ransomware group tried to deploy the ransomware, then it was blocked by Sentinel-1 Singularity, that is an EDR, endpoint detection tool, based on the previous signature of the ransomware. This authentication bypass vulnerability exists in the smart terminal password reset functionality. The vulnerability force reset password API endpoints were designed to allow password reset by critically lack proper authentication control. Instead of acquiring users to authenticate or provide a valid password reset tokens, the endpoint accepts anonymous requests directly. The vulnerability allows an attacker to bypass the normal authentication workflow entirely by directly accessing the password reset API endpoints with nothing more than a targeted administrative usernames and a new password. The attackers then immediately gain the administrative access of the smarter mails. This represents the complete failure of the authentication on one of the most sensitive operations in the application. The root cause was the absence of authentication enforcement on forced password reset endpoints. The API does not validate whether the requester is authenticated, nor does it requires proof of account ownership through mechanism such as existing password verification, email-based reset tokens, or multi-factor authentications. This design flow allows any unauthenticated user to invoke the password reset functionality for any account, including system administrator. That means normal users can able to access the ad- access the privileges like administrative account. Attack vector. The attack is network based and require no authentication or user interaction. An attacker with the network access to SmarterMail's web interface was exploit this vulnerability by sending crafted HTTP requests to force password reset endpoints. This request need only a certain valid administrative usernames and password is a new password. Attacker is a new password. After that, they have control to full administrative control of the email server. Attack analysis. The active exploit is targeting smarter mails, enabling attackers to force password reset. The concerning activity was first reported on SmarterMail community forum. Here is the screenshot of the SmarterMail community forum. That a normal user able to access the administrative account with a authentication failure of the API endpoints. That is force reset password. Authentication bypass by password reset. A critical security review was conducted on the smartermail.web.api.authentication controller force password reset endpoint. A high value target is targeting password management. The review focus intensively on protecting against parameter tampering, logic flaws, and inadequate authorization to prevent potential widespread account compromise and data breaches. Here is the HTTP post request of a force reset passwords. Uh, there is no security control here, no authentication, no authorization, no verification of old password despite the API requiring an old password field in the request. It is never checked when resetting a administrator password. The regular user password reset flow does not validate existing password. The privilege path does not. This is completely authentication bypass for system administrator accounts. An attackers only need to send a request containing the username of administrator account and a new password of their choosing. They can choose anything, any random password. At this stage, the attackers have complete access to the administrative account. Here is the proof of concept of uh, force password reset of API endpoints. Here is the request. Here is the response. After gaining access to the administrative account, uh, then it provides direct path to remote code execution. SmarterMail exposes built-in functionality that allows a system administrator to execute operating system commands. Like we can go to administrative account, then go to setting, then volume mount, then create a new mount. Then here we can create a random commands like cmd.exe /c calc. It's open calculator. Like if we use command here like anti authority /system, then we have the complete access of the systems. When the configuration is saved, the supplied command is executed immediately. This issue was patched in version 9511 released on 15 January. Detection method, we can detect it The attackers, here is the IOC, that is the indication of compromise. Unexpected HTTP request to force password reset endpoints from external or unknown IP address. Administrative account password changes without corresponding legitimate reset request or user activity. Authentication logs showing successful administrator login from unfamiliar location following password reset activity. Multiple password reset attempts targeting administrative account in a shorter times. Detection strategies. Monitor web server access log for request to the force reset password endpoints, particularly from unauthenticated section. Configure alert for administrative level password changes that does not originated from the expected administrator interfaces. Implement network level monitoring to detect reconnaissance activity targeting smarter mail instances. Deploy web application firewall rules to block or alerts on direct access to password reset API endpoints. Monitor recommendation. Uh, Enable detailed audit login in mail for all authentication and account modification events. Correlate password reset events with subsequent authentication attempts to identify potential exploitation. Monitor for unusual administrator account activity following any password reset events. Review access patterns to administrative endpoints for abnormal indication of attack activity. Here governance and asset management failures. The breach was initiated by a single forgotten unpatched virtual machines within the internal networks. CROIT information. The existence of a forgotten VM indicates infrastructure operating outside of standard IT visibility and governance. CMDB. Based on the asset was forgotten, it was likely missing or incorrectly categorized in the configuration management database, preventing it from being flagged from updates. Incomplete vulnerability scanning. The failure to identify this unpatched instance suggests that vulnerability discovery scan were not comprehensive or were limited to non-documented assets. Lateral movements simulation, attack or escalation was initial access. The initial access was an unauthenticated attacker sent crafted JSON request to force password reset API endpoints privileges by setting each system admin true. The attacker achieve a direct permanent password override for local administrator accounts. Remote code execution once authenticated and as admin, attackers can abuse the volume mount command string free to execute OS command such as anti-authority / system. Like I said previously, this will give you complete access of the system. Network segmentation failure. The attack was network based and requires no user interaction. Effectively segmented through isolated smarter mail administrative interface and API endpoints from untrusted external or internal networks. The line takedown or operation failed to maintain service level agreements. The vulnerability was weaponized within 48 hours of patch release, yet VM remains unpatched. Risk oversight failed to enforce network level access control to provide adequate oversight to detect shadow IT assets. Internal audit failed to identify gaps in the asset disposal and decommissioning process that allows forgotten VM to persist. Business continuity analysis. BCP-DLP. The Warlock ransomware was exploited the BCP-DLP testing, which typically necessitates full disaster recovery response. Because of exploit involves a permanent password override, the recovery time objective was impacted by the time request to regain administrative control and verify the integrity of the mail server. Mitigation. Uh, we can upgrade the SmarterMail version after 9511. Requires network access to administrative interface using firewall rules or VPN requirements. Review administrator activity log for sign up unauthorized access. Change all administrative account or password after upgrading to ensure no compromise persist. Redesign governance structure. Implement a zero trust model. Zero trust model that is simply trust no one until you verify. Where administrative APIs requires a multi-factor authentication and are strict and are restricted to trusted internet local network IP only. Here is the patch released by SmarterMails on 15th January. That remove the API endpoints for force password resets. Continuous control monitoring. Monitor web server logs for any request to the force password reset endpoints. Configure automated alerts for administrative password changes not originated from expected interface. Deploy web application firewall rules to block unauthenticated access to the password reset API. Countermeasures. Implement network level access control to restrict access to the SmarterMail web interface to trusted network only. Use a reverse proxy or web application firewall to block unauthenticated access to the forced reset password endpoints. Temporary disable external access to the administrative functions until the patch can be applied. Enable MFA for administrator account as the additional defense layer. This exploit can be prevented, but it was not because of the forgotten VM and because of the logic flaw of the application. Conclusion: the authentication bypass vulnerability caused by a systemic security failure is in privilege enforcement during account recovery. To prevent a future incident, the response mandates three core imperatives: robust least privilege, API controls, pay access control, comprehensive asset and privilege inventory, and swift automated patching. A security operation must enhance detection by monitoring abnormal API uses, rapidly correlating past bypass, identify changes which a concurrent system configuration or modification like a cell access to reduce containment time. The incident highlights the need of the organizational shift towards a zero trust principles, meticulous API design, and proactive correlation based operational capability.
Completed?
Yes, sir. One gap.
Yeah. Complete the levels. Then we ask question.
Okay, sir. Uh, no monitoring, no logs. Scenario breaches, these simulations, and the governance failure. Here is the topology design. Here we take one firewall one core router, one LAN switch, that is for segmented networks. Mm, internal user hosts like HRPC, external attacker machines, and ISP router. Bridge simulation. When a marketing team opens, marketing employee clicks a phishing links, a lightweight Trojan execute in memory. Infiltration. Malware bypass the firewall via a encrypted HTTPS tunnel. Persistence. The script adds a registry key to run on startup. Becoming in every 30 seconds, the infected host send a send a heartbeat to command and control servers. The failures happens due to no failures happen in the organization due to no use of intrusion detection system or intrusion prevention systems, like the signatureless beacon goes unblocked. There is no logging. There is no record of DNS request to the malicious domain. No SIEM. Like there is no long tail analysis to notice repetitive 30-second connections patterns. The result was the attackers has a permanent invisible backdoors. Detection gap, no centralized log collection, no event correlation capability, no anomaly detection mechanism, no alerting workflow. Attacks remain undetected. Due to here only we use firewalls, and we don't use the company don't use any kind of intrusion prevention system or intrusion detection system or SIEM tools like Wazoo or Splunk. Governance failure impact. No visibility into security events, no measurable security performance matrices, no forensic evidence for investigation, extended attackers dual times, audit and compliance failures, logging architecture design, data generation. The traffic hits the firewall, which generates raw logs locally. The firewall logs are stored on the firewall's local disk. There is no central log collector or syslog forwarding to the secondary server. Processing, no correlation. The firewall see individual packets, but can't link them to endpoint log or user activity, user identity. Visibility. Monitoring is limited to the firewall management UI rather than on a unified security dashboard. Basic monitoring for collection. Firewall logs a single outbound connection. Normalization. Non-logs stay in raw firewall format. No standardization occurs. Correlation fails. The firewall can connect the dots between 50 separate connections to identify the beacon patterns. Alerting. Uh, since we use a basic normal firewall, uh, we get a traffic on what is allowed or what is denied logs, but no high-level security alerts. Without the SIEM context, the team does not realize the attack is happening until it's too late. ISO 20001 mapping. ISO 20,000 27,001 clause 9.1, that requires monitoring, measurement, analysis, and evaluation. Since no SIEM tools were implemented, uh, no SIEM tools or ETR are implemented, so no data exists to evaluate the effectiveness of the SMS. Annex A Annex A 8.15, that requires logging records of events and reviewing logs, uh, which was failed due to logging in uh, is disabled. No audit trails for investigations. Annex A 8.16, that is monitoring activity. No automated tools to detect unauthorized access. There is only a simple firewalls. Recommendations: enable sysmon. The company needs to deploy sysmon on all servers to track process creation. Implement an open source SIEM tools like start with ELK start or Wazoo if positive tight, or they can use Dong or any other SIEM tools. Draft a P1 incident recovery plan. Define exactly who to call when a breach is suspected.